turning on a thin black sheet of glass. She saw both the lives flash before her eyes. She didn't even have time to cry. She was so...
This is Summer Wells of Tennessee, and she has been missing for 4 years. I've been following this case for about 3 years now. I want to delve into this case. The father did speak out after 4 years, and I want to share his video with everybody here. So let me give you a history of Summer Wells and her disappearance, and then we will get into what her father said. Regarding Summer Wells, she lived in a quiet rural road in Tennessee. The little girl who you see here, this is Summer Wells, and this is the area in where she lived in Hawkins County, Tennessee. She vanished without a trace. She was just 5 years old when she disappeared from her home on Ben Hill Road. She lived there with her 3 brothers, her parents, and her grandmother. But today, only her parents remain in the house. And I will tell you why shortly. The house does sit on top of 11 acres of rugged land. Driveway winds up from Beach Creek Road, the same road many neighbors traveled on the day Summer went missing, Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. Someone does know something. A strange car, a parked truck, someone walking there. They should have seen Summer Wells. If you were there or know someone who was, now is the time to speak up. Even the smallest detail could be the key to finding Summer. And if you're scared to call, ask someone you trust to do it for you. You can remain anonymous, but you can't remain silent because somewhere, someone knows what happened to Summer Wells. Let's look at the timeline of her disappearance. On Tuesday, June 15th of 2021, Summer was reported missing. Summer Wells was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County around 6:30 p.m. She was last seen wearing a pink shirt and gray shorts. Around 60 to 80 people participated in the initial search Tuesday night. The Tennessee Highway Patrol's Aviation Unit and the Ballad Heart Air Service provided aerial support. Other agencies involved in the search: Churchill Rescue Squad, Hawkins County Rescue, Hawkins County EMA, Hawkins County EMS, Hawkins County E911, Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, and Goshen Valley Volunteer Fire Department. Now, if you're curious why there are so many people involved, this is a very rural area. Let me show you pictures of the specific wooded area. This is a picture of that home that is on around 11 acres of wooded area. Now, as you can see here, it's pretty decrepit, pretty broken down. This is where Summer and her brothers used to live. This is another area of the home where Summer and her brothers used to live, boarded up in the middle of desolate forest. This is the back end where the mother said that Summer came down this basement area to play with toys. Moments later, she went downstairs and Summer vanished. They think she left through this door. And her dad, as we will see, seems to think that someone picked her up and drove off with her. Again, there is that door where they believe that Summer exited. This is the entire area that the police were actually searching for Summer Wells. Now let's go into the timeline of her disappearance. Then on Wednesday, June 16th, around 12:07 a.m., an endangered child alert was actually issued. At 11 a.m., an Amber Alert was issued. Then on Friday, June 18th, her father speaks on camera for the first time. Now notice, as you watch him speak, notice what his son does or does not do.
So when her mother come in, she says, Summer, she went down, right? She didn't answer, so she went down there. She was gone. So she went out the basement. She was unlocked.
Notice how the son doesn't look up? And so she went to the basement and went out the door, and yet, how do they know this? Did they watch it happen? Did they see it happen? They didn't stop her from walking out the door onto their 11-acre property in the woods? Why would you think that she walked out the door? Now, let's go ahead and let's go into what her mother stated. She has only been on camera one time. Let's look and see what her mother said. This is the only time she has spoken. This is Candus Bly.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma. And she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch. And I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was. And they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times. And I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight.
Okay. So again, the brothers state that Summer went down to the basement. So nobody knows. Supposedly the brothers state she went down to the basement. And then all of a sudden her dad assumes that she walked out the back door and somebody picked her up. I'm very familiar with addicts. Also notice how Candus was speaking very slow. Her eyes were moving very slow. That is very classic for some sort of substance abuse. So let's keep a close watch on that. So that is the back history of Summer Wells' disappearance. So now I'm going to share another interesting update in this entire case, but it doesn't deal directly with Summer, but it deals with the dynamics, the Wells family dynamics. So here Summer is seen here with her 3 brothers who no longer live at the home. Why don't they live at this home anymore? July 26 of 2021, this was reported by Times News that Summer Wells' 3 brothers have been removed from their home by the Department of Children Services. And the exact reason has never been released. So this was 6 weeks after Summer Wells disappeared from her home. There was a massive 13-day massive search. Neither the search nor the investigators has resulted in any information leading to Summer's recovery or what happened to her, although the police investigation is still ongoing, and to this day, it is still ongoing. Let's hear from Summer's dad with regards to the reason why those boys were taken out of the home. Again, we still never know the truth, but let's see what Don Wells says.
I'm not going to talk to anybody, but it just, everything's so blown out of proportion and everybody, I'm not going to I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I appreciate me. I respect you. You know, the job you got today. I know you're up against the wall. I know you're just trying to be for whatever. It's just, I cannot say a word. It's just, everything's so brought up the bullshit. I haven't even been keeping up with what something happened. I don't even know what happened. No, nothing's happened. Only hit the $5 also $5. Don't, I don't need the body. There's a snake and something. So, hello.
Is he ordering food at the same time while he is talking to this person on the phone about his children being taken away from the home? It's hard to hear the audio, so I'm not going to play all of it, but it's very clear that he's not too concerned that his kids were taken away from his home. His daughter's missing, and then the 3 boys are taken away from their home. That's not normal. That's not normal. DCFS does not take children away from people's homes unless there is cause. I know I have friends who have had cases against them. It is very difficult to get children taken away from your home. So let's go through. I will read what Wells says. Again, you can't really hear the audio recording. So according to Don Wells, dad of Summer Wells, people blow this out of proportion. They think my wife, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely insane. And it's not safe for my kids. So KTN, who's coming around your house? Wells, all sorts of people. Juanita, for one. I don't know who Juanita is. They think she's a psychic and she has some sort of special gift, and we don't need her crazy stopping at our house. She claims to be a Christian and then she claims to be a psychic. How does that work? If you're Christian, God says you don't go there, period. It's against God. KTN, is anybody else coming to your home? We've had a few people come in the middle of the night. We had one. I don't think he'll be coming back to our house anymore, though. So weird. No details? No details about who these people are coming to your house? You're not calling the police about people coming to your house to protect your 3 sons? You don't want to call the police. Hey, these people are coming in the house. No, you'd rather have your children taken away from the house. Okay. I am a mother, by the way, so I am passionate about this. I would be calling the police. When asked if his 3 sons were in state custody or staying with friends or relatives, Wells replied, I can't answer any questions, buddy. I'm not going there. Okay. Don Wells, all this speculation is getting worse and worse. People are threatening us, and it's not safe at my house. We're hoping if something happens, things will start to get safer. But the way things are going down, it's just getting worse and worse. What does that mean? Give people answers. If you're going to make a statement, provide factual evidence and validate why is it getting worse and worse. Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson told Times News on Monday that the investigation into Summer's disappearance continues. Lawson said investigators are not utilizing any psychic or supernatural resources in their investigation. That's not a shocker because I don't know any police department that has done that. The investigation is still going on strong and intense, Lawson said. When asked if there are any psychics working for law enforcement in the Summer Wells investigation, Lawson replied, absolutely not. They stopped by the office wanting to give us advice, but it wasn't anything, Lawson said. That don't count all the ones calling. We don't listen to them. Lawson said, social media is still causing problems with information and rumors that is not correct. There's a lot of incorrect information and a lot of advice coming from social media that's harming the investigation with stuff we've already done many times. This is something else that is really interesting. When asked On Monday, the Times News spoke to Summer's father, Don Wells, who wouldn't discuss specifics about why the boys were removed from their home by the Department of Children's Services, except to say it's not safe there. So, this is what Don said. Right now, it's not safe at my house. There's too much going on, and people are crazier than, I don't say this word, H-E double hockey sticks. I'll spell it out there. It's crazier than, and right now, it's just not safe at my house. There's too much going on. Too many crazy people coming around trying to start stuff. Again, if your children and your family are in danger, you call 911. You don't just let the Department of Children's Services take your children. And actually, they don't just take their children. There is an investigation that happens. There has to be due cause in order for those children to be removed from the home. I'm fully aware of the entire process. He said he's had a problem with amateur crime solvers and psychics trespassing at his home and walking up to his house in the middle of the night. Again, it's called trespassing. Call 911. Now, since this article, I will let you know that Don and his, I guess that's not his wife, that Don and Summer's mom, that they do not have custody of their boys. They signed away custody. So Summer is still missing, and their 3 boys are no longer living in their home, and they no longer are in foster care. They have been adopted out. Now, let's go and let's look and see what Don Wells has said. 4 years. This is 4 years. Don speaks out. Let's see what he says.
News Channel 11's Ainsley Daniels spoke with Summer's father, Don Wells, as the 4-year mark of his daughter's disappearance approaches.
Nearly 4 years ago, 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared from her home here in Hawkins County. It's believed that she walked out of this door and hasn't been seen since. And today, there are still no answers as to where she could be.
Which, again, is very interesting because only the dad believes that she walked out the door and the mom, and that's it. She just walked out the door and randomly walked around.
It's 4 years too long. My thoughts and feelings haven't changed. I've been continual heartbreak for the past 4 years.
This very yard is one of the last places Don Wells' daughter Summer was known to be.
We love and miss her very much, and wish that she could come home very much, because she was a bossy boss around here. And
Really? So after 4 years, the only reason why you want your daughter to come home is because she was the bossy boss of the house?
we just miss our children, man. We had 4 children running around here like crazy.
The then 5-year-old has been at the center of an Amber Alert since June 15th of 2021. Crews searched the Beach Creek community for weeks, with law enforcement receiving numerous tips that never panned out.
We haven't talked to them in a long time. We let Chris and Trudy, our private detectives, deal with TBI in Hawkins County. I don't know, anyway, it's just better.
Which is so interesting. You haven't talked to the police department in a long time. Your daughter's been missing 4 years. You let your private investigators talk to the police department? I find that hard to believe unless you know something about her disappearance. When I went through my custody battles and when I went to protect my children from my abusive late husband, I barely slept. I called the police constantly. I documented absolutely everything. And I could never imagine never imagine being without my children. So if somebody took my children, you can guarantee I would be calling frequently to find out, do you have any updates? What is the status? Curious how they can afford private investigators as well, but I don't know that answer. Anyway, here we go.
They do that.
These faded signs all throughout the Beach Creek community are a sign of hope that Summer Wells could still come home nearly 4 years after she disappeared from her home on Ben Hill Road.
It's very bad. And then when you add the social media pressure with them saying that we're suspects or whatever, that just adds to it. And living a nightmare.
Summer's mother, Candus, has only spoken to us on camera once. She declined to be a part of this interview minutes before we started recording.
She wanted to, but all them fears started creeping up of what happened in the beginning with the social media and everything, hunting us down everywhere we go and trying to basically ruin us everywhere we go. And she's just having nightmares.
After Summer's disappearance, the Wells' 3 oldest boys were put into Department of Children's Services custody, with Dawn and Candus eventually signing their rights over.
Again, so you signed your rights over? Why would you sign your rights over? For your children. And not to mention, you're not coming on camera. I understand not coming on camera. I do understand that a little bit. But the excuse is because of social media and the pressures of social media and the accusations that people are giving them. I have been down this path, not with regards to social media, but when I was going through my divorce and custody battles, everybody believed my late husband. They did not believe the alcoholic that he truly was. The only people that believed me were my family and some of his family, very few people, but some of his family and my very close friends. So I'm fully aware of being accused of things that are not true. However, it did not stop me from trying to protect my children from being raised by somebody else.
We haven't received any updates from them, no contact. And in fact, they deleted the phone number or blocked my phone as soon as we got done with that case and signed our.
So they blocked the phone. They deleted the number, as he said. I don't know whose number he's talking about. They blocked the phone. He can't talk to his 3 boys. They signed their rights over. So legally, if he legally was supposed to or allowed to still have contact with those children, the people who adopted the children could legally not block him, and he just has to go to court. I know it's not a simple process, but you go to court and you provide your case, and then you can have access to the children again. It is not just they blocked him because, and then he can't talk to them. That does not make sense at all. Either that or it is true. They did block him and they decided not to take the adoptive parents to court to try to get to talk to them.
And still today, one word describes their entire situation.
It's heartbreaking.
In Hawkins County, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
So there you go. This is something I have wanted to share with everybody. It is just heartbreaking. It has been 4 years since Summer's disappearance. This is only a couple of hours from me in Tennessee. It is heartbreaking that Summer has not been found, that her disappearance is unsolved. What's also heartbreaking is the fact that these types of things fall through the cracks with regards to children and DCFS and anything protecting children. So if anyone does know anything about Summer Wells, please contact the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at 423-272-7121 or the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND, which is FIND. So go ahead and contact those. Again, Summer, this is her at age 5. This was 4 years ago, so she is now 9 years old. She has been missing for 4 years, and everybody wants her brought home.